Hi guys, it's that time again. Yeah, car booty time. So this weekend I picked up 5 computers at the flea market car boot sale. 4 came from one trader and I paid him a total of €45 for the 4, and the other one came from another trader this time and I paid him €10. So we can say really these machines are always €11 each, and we not worry too much about the other euro. Yeah, this is probably the least interesting one of them. Really, the ones I bought, the 4 off one guy for 45, I paid 45 for the other ones, and this was a freebie really, but we'll put them as €11 each and see if we can make any money out of them. This is a socket 775 Asus board, P5N-MX. I don't think this will have any real value to it, but we can see if it's working. Yeah, see what we've got. It has onboard video, it has a graphics card in it, so we can take this out. Old PCIe card, these really don't have any value. They're not something that they want on the retro scene. It's another GeForce 8500 GT. That's what it actually is. Handy for testing purposes, but not much else really. And we have the motherboard. There's no hard drive in this one, it's just the motherboard, processor, and a case. As you can see, a beige DVD drive, one of these. Is he Dr. Cooler here? Dr. Cooler. Yeah. Sounds like a rapper or something. One of them in there. Yeah. We might get 10 or €12 out of the beige IDE drive if it's working. So it could actually be worth having for that. In fact, if the motherboard's working, let's test it. Or at least see if it reads discs. That's usually a good indication. So we'll just take some bits out of this, I think, and let's see what we have. The case isn't going to be used for anything. It's going to go in the scrap, to be honest, the basura, the Spanish call it. It's good in the basura. Well, this thing's coming out one way or another. No, it's not. There's a screw holding it in place. I'll take it all apart, then we can have a look to see what we've got. Yeah. So here is the Asus motherboard. I think I actually have another working one, and this may well be working, but I think I have a working one identical to this. It's worth keeping hold of one of these if you haven't got one. They have SATA and IDE. We can see this one actually has a broken SATA connector. The other half of that may well be on the cables in the ATX case. Yeah, thought it might be. So we can possibly actually just put this back on again. See if we can actually get it to fit. Must go this way around. I'm sure if we get the magnifier and line the pins up, it will. Or you could just cut the pins off if you want to use this. The reason it's worth keeping a board like this one is because it has both IDE and SATA. Depending on what sort of work you do, you may or I may come across a local business who needs data recovery from an old IDE hard drive they've probably been using for years for their accounts. They certainly are still some around, and it's just useful to keep one for that reason really. Yeah, look at that, there it goes, back in place again. A little bit of hot melted, I'm sure that will be absolutely fine. Yeah, you can see all the pins are there. Okay, yeah, they're all there, look. So, a bit of an impromptu repair, but it's done. I'm sure it would want a bit of glue to hold it in place, but I'm sure it would be working. So let's see if this actually does work. Usual quick test, short circuits on the 12 volt supply. Looks good. I have it connected to my known good, or one of my known good ATX supplies, so we'll just power this up and see what happens. I'll use the onboard VGA. We'll leave the RAM in, let's just see. So power on. We want a start button. Will be those two, no doubt. I can see the speaker connector, so we may as well put a speaker on it. Okay. Right, what's it do? Power on. Start. Well, there's power on the board. I've got standby. Power supply's running. And it's bleeping hard. So the fan wasn't working. It suddenly started to work now. I've just switched it off. Let's switch it back on again. Okay. Start. Stuck fan, that's all. But we've got one, yeah, bleep. Okay. Nothing on the monitor. Let's try removing the RAM. Well, one strip first. Try that. Now it doesn't want to. It's a dodgy fan connector on the motherboard. That's what it is. Okay. So it's a dodgy connection there. Let's remove that one. Let's see if it does the same thing with no RAM. Yeah. Different. So probably saying there's no RAM. Let's get on with this fan connector. Motherboard looks okay. Doesn't look like it's a loose pin. Looks like it's more like a problem in the actual plug. Okay. So doesn't like the RAM. Let's clean the RAM slots and then what is this stuff? DDR2 I'm guessing probably. 2 gig. Another 2 gig, so we have 4 gig of it. Let's give this a clean. Okay. I can just insert it a couple of times. Yes, dry. The isopropyl alcohol evaporates pretty quickly, to be honest. Okay. Power on. Start. One bleep, blue light. This is working, guys. Okay, you can see it there. So that's a good one. Let's try the strip of RAM. There we go. So that's a good one. We have, yes, I can see 4 gig of RAM is there. Okay, you can see it. So with this shared memory for the video on board, but it's seeing both strips of RAM. So while I mention it, I'll have to put a keyboard on, and then let's just test this beige writer as well. See if it comes up clean actually first. Yeah, that's pretty good. Retro collectors do want nice clean ones. They do buy them. I've sold quite a few on eBay, and you regularly get £10 or £12 for them. This is just a quick test. This is a Ease US disc clone software, but this is a bootable DVD. So if this will boot from it, the chances are it's good. It's not a thorough test, but it probably is. We'll just check the jumpers, set to master, okay. Let's connect it up. You usually find with these, if you've not been used for a long time, which this probably hasn't, you have to give them one thump to make the tray open, and after that they're reliable. So we'll start the PC and then see, it should open. Okay, press the button. You see, and after you've opened it once, they're fine. After they've opened once, they'll normally work reliably. Okay, a couple of times, but once you've done it, they will normally work. Ah, that time it's opened, okay, so that time it just opened. So let's see if it will actually read the disc. We'll just put this in. Okay, we'll press F1 to continue and see if it will boot from it. Feels like it's doing something. Yeah, there we go. So chances are that's a good one. Open by itself. Okay. So I would say we've got £10 worth of optical drive there at least. I don't know if the motherboard's worth anything, but we can have a quick look. I actually looked at about 100 drives recently I had stashed away just to figure out what works and what doesn't work without cleaning them or anything, just to see if they work. And the interesting thing was that out of the beige ones, which were a mixture of DVD and CD-ROM and CD writers, basically 66% of them worked, 2 out of 3. Whereas with the black ones, and they were more DVDs, there were a few CD-ROMs, but with the black ones, it was 50-50. So it seems that these beige ones, although they're older, tend to be the more reliable. Does that mean they were just made better in those days? I'm not sure. We can look for the motherboard on eBay. So it's a P5N-MX. Have a look. So I've got a hash on the end of it. I don't quite know how, but it did. Okay. And factory refurbished, £62, but it doesn't mean they're worth that much. Okay. Another one, 43 with 12. So the only really way to find out is to go into the sold listings. This will answer 2 questions. 1, do they actually sell? And 2, how much do they sell for? So sold items. So yeah, this is what's selling. 3rd of January, that was a few weeks ago. Another one much more recently. 10th of February. Another one 13th of December. So considering the prices people are asking for the ones which are for sale, bear in mind this is eBay UK, this is £37 plus 24 postage from Italy. This one is 63 and it's sold. 40 postage from Spain, doesn't specify, but it was probably another 20, so it's probably 60. So I have to say, and I hope some of you guys agree, I know some of you guys will argue, but if you argue, give your reasoning. That's what's selling. We can see how many are available for sale and the price they're asking, effectively 1 of them, 2 of them, 3 of them. So we can say, I'm fairly sure, that people do want them for whatever reason, retro enthusiasts, and there's no reason why I wouldn't get £40 for it. That would be cheaper than all of the others. Yeah, so I'm going to put 40 for that. And the beige writers, so this is a GSA 4163B. Let's have a look. Well, £8 or £9, £17. Again, we need to go to the sold listings to see if any of these are actually sold. Yes, look, 15, 29, 25, yeah. They sell, okay? They sell. So my reckoning that they're worth £12 is probably they're worth more than that, actually. You can see they sell fairly regularly. So I'm going to put £15 on that, 40 on the motherboard, and we'll call that £55. And if you disagree with that, tell me why. Okay? So we can have the sound effect. There you go. We now basically have covered what we paid for these machines. Let's have a look at the next one. So here's the next one, guys. This is quite old, actually, by the looks of it. IBM. These stickers, like I had a Canaria, I think that means like the box, roughly speaking, of the Canaries. And I think these are kind of like pat test stickers. I'm not sure if this is focusing perfectly well because it's too high on the desk, probably, for the camera. But basically this one was saying Pentium IBM PC350S. 1997. So I think that's the year it was made. And then we have I think like a test certificate from 2000, basically 16th 5th 2000. So that's what it is. Has some beige drives in it. I'm not sure this might be an AT machine, you know, actually. Front isn't on properly, it's kind of like coming off. Yeah. So let's see what's inside this. I mean, we can look at the back. There's 2 USBs on it. So you think it was probably ATX in actual fact. Yes, interesting. Okay, let's get the lid off and see what we have. Well, I was wondering how to get it off, and it just slides backwards. There we have it. So you have a really big motherboard, some ISA and PCI slots. This looks like a custom board made to fit into this case. So I really don't know if this is any value to the retro collectors out there. It is an AT machine, actually. Couple of sockets here for RAM chips. This must be the onboard graphics S3 Trio 64. 2 chips fitted and 2 empty sockets for more RAM chips for the video RAM. Looks like a Coast module, cache on a stick. And this is a socket 370, I think, just looking down the side. Yeah, interesting. But is it of any value? Well, it may or may not be interesting. So this is just searching for IBM PC350. And we can see motherboards, or that may even be a complete machine. It's hard to say because there's no photograph. No, it's a module of some sort. Cache module? Okay. We have the riser cards. Mine looks like these. So there's a number of people who seem to have them. Yeah, 5x5, that's mine. And they are asking for money for them, £30 plus another 30 in postage from the USA. Very similar prices. And then we have motherboards. I mean, there's one there, but they're not exactly the same as mine. 154, 154. The number on mine is not this one. It is 60H7895. And if I search for that, I don't actually find anything. But we can see what people are asking for similar ones, but that's what they're asking. The question is anybody buying these, okay? So, of course, advanced and then sold listings, okay? Let's have a look. Well, one of those sold, but just one of them. There's a complete machine, but for parts only, similar to mine. 250, it's sold. Another one, sold. Okay, and they were for part. That one was working. Interesting. One for parts only and one working, but they both sold for the same price. So it does appear there are buyers for these things. Let's have a look to see what condition ours is actually in. So there are certainly buyers for these things. I found this inside, so this is broken off somewhere, so it's not perfect. I'm not sure exactly where it comes from. It was just down in here. This seems to have a bit of a custom power supply, so there's a connector that looks rather like an AT connector there going down to the riser card. Then there's the 2 more for the motherboard. So this may be a little bit non-standard for an AT power supply. I think with this one, I will switch it on. I've already plugged it in, but there's no power on. I'll put my light bulb current limiter on just to make sure there's nothing drastic going to happen. And if nothing dramatic occurs, then let's try and power it up and see what it actually does. So, light bulb where you can see it. We set to limit. We'll switch on. It's trying to power up, but it is powering up. The fans are running, so it effectively must be switched on. That's why the light bulb came on quite brightly. I'll just press the switch the other way if it does actually operate. No, it looks like the switch doesn't actually operate. It seems to be on, but I'm quite happy just to switch this on. I don't think anything's going to go bang. Let's have a look here. Well, that's bleeping. Probably to say there's no graphics card. This has onboard graphics. I don't know if there's maybe some jumper setting that disables it, or it may just be that there's no monitor plugged in. Let's try that. Okay, once again, I've connected a monitor. Blue light came on. Okay. So this appears to have some problem with the onboard video, maybe RAM. It is trying to boot up. It does have a hard drive. It's actually just testing the RAM at the moment. Just let it complete. .64 meg of RAM. It's asking me to press a key. I'll just, oh no, it's going to boot. Okay, so you can see it definitely has video problems. Hard drive we can hear, or floppy drive. I think that's supposed to be the BIOS screen. The on-off button does do something, but it doesn't switch off. I hit the on-off switch and it reset. Let's try a keyboard. Well, yes, it's reacting to the keyboard. And then I think we have the BIOS screen. It's like it's not booting from the hard drive. Maybe the hard drive isn't functioning. Let's put a PCI graphics card in this and see if it will detect and run it. We can give this one a go. Expert color. It's quite possibly an S3 Trio actually. Let's see what that does. Well, the blue light's on and we have a good picture. Yeah. Now what you're saying, we can enter the configuration. I can read it now. Something is incorrect. Oh, the time and date is incorrect. Okay. Continue. It's obviously all encrypted in Spanish, but I can read it. Automatically reconfigure the system and continue. Okay. Detected some errors in the configuration. Continue. So what do we have? We can restore the values. Okay, I think that's restored the values. I can see it's a Pentium 133 that while I'm in here, by the way, we can see that 133, so that's what we actually have here. It's not finding the hard drive, so the hard drive isn't working by the looks of it. So it's not going to boot from the hard drive because it can't see it. Maybe it's just jammed, seized up, it's under here. So we can say then that this is working, but the onboard graphics are not working and the hard drive isn't working. Maybe the hard drive is just seized up. I haven't looked at it at the moment. As you know, it does have power, it is connected. Could be a problem with the motherboard. We would have to investigate that. The first thing I can say is we could probably repair this motherboard if we want to. So one thing we could do is take an S3 Trio PCI graphics card and remove the RAM and the GPU and fit them onto this board, and it may well work. I mean, obviously we could check around first, make sure we have all the voltages, there's no bad capacitors, but I'm sure this could probably be repaired in that manner. I don't think the actual S3 Trio 64 graphics cards themselves are worth a lot of money. The other option, of course, is just to stick a graphics card in it and just run it with a separate graphics card and not worry about the one on the motherboard. It's another possibility. But as you know, guys, with the car booty, we're generally just going through stuff, fixing any small problems, stuff like this, end up on their own video. So what do you guys think? Is it worth fixing? It looks like it might well be. And then how would we best do it? Would we just stick a graphics card in, maybe even sell this as a complete machine with the graphics card and sell it, you know, explain the fact that the onboard one is corrupted? Or are we better off actually fixing that problem, if we're going to fix it all? Yeah, I know you guys will want to see it because that's what you'll say. Well, Rich, that's what we come here for, to watch you fixing stuff. So I'm quite happy to have a go at this one. Just wondering what you think is the best way to do it. Just to add a bit more information to that decision, an S3 Trio PCI, S3 Trio 64 Plus is about £12. So if we decide to scrap one of them to salvage the parts to fix this, it's going to effectively destroy about £12 worth of vintage graphics card, but it looks like it may well restore considerably more money's worth of IBM retro PC. Okay, so think about that. Yeah, you know what I'm going to say. Comments below, and let's have a look at the next one. I just noticed this on the lid as well. So this is all the configuration, jumper settings, switch settings, memory configurations. So we have bank 0, bank 1 and bank 2. They're all populated on our board. So there's quite a bit of information there. I thought this was a socket 370, but apparently it is a socket 7. I just can't easily see down there. But just by the type of processor in here, I think we can say that's what it is. This is the third one of this batch, so not a beige machine. It has a rather interesting looking panel in the front of it there. Yeah, a couple of USBs, and this is a Firewire connector on it. So you'd think this is probably a socket 775 machine. It has a black floppy, black reader in there. The case actually is quite decent nick. There's a bit of a dent in the top of it. What do we have on the back? So again, a few USBs, quite a lot of cards in this one. So at best for retro stuff, this is going to be a Pentium 4 478, or maybe an AMD machine, which looking in the top I think is what it actually is. So let's see what we have. Well, we have an AGP slot, and this looks like it's a, well, it's a Cooler Master. No, it's a Gigabyte cooler. I think we've had this type before actually, and I'm pretty certain when we had this type before it was on an AMD processor, which is what I think we have here. I can see straight away we have some bad capacitors down here. That looks like the fan on the north bridge, but it doesn't seem to be seized up. Quite dirty, this machine inside. So let's take this one apart and have a look to see what we have. Here is the motherboard. So this is a Gigabyte K8NS Pro, which is an Athlon 64 motherboard. I've cleaned the worst of the dirt and dust off it now, but you could probably do with just putting it in a sink, to be quite honest, and washing them properly. These are not particularly valuable. They do sell, but only for about £20. This one needs recapping, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bulge capacitors there, which are all the 6.3 volt ones. So they will be on the V core for the processor. Great little TV card there. Never found any particular use for these or value to them. FX 5500 8 times. Little AGP card. Possibly the fan is seized up on it. I mean, it does rotate, but it's a bit sticky, to be honest. Again, this is a fairly common card, I believe. I can have a quick look. That's the motherboard, by the way. I just mentioned that was even boxed, actually, so probably this doesn't have any value. Sold on the 1st of February. Let's look for the graphics card. FX 5500-8X. Can't find anything. No, I'll take the -8X off it and then we can have a look. Oh, okay. Well, one sold for 37. That basically looks similar to mine, but that one for £16. That one for 10 parts only. Parts only. And another one sold for 43. So maybe these actually do, yeah. 23, 18. I think if it's working, we can test it. Another one, 51. I may have another fan that fits on this. I might be able to clean it. So this could be worth £25, I think, looking at all the ones that have sold recently. And these are all really in February, so they do sell quite well. As this one isn't of any particularly high value, I will just try it first with the capacitors that are on there. Quite often they will at least power up or tell us some sign of life. This sort of board probably is the sort of thing that if it is basically working, I will just make a note it needs recapping, keep it on one side for a while, a few years maybe, and then see where the market goes with it. If it doesn't really go anywhere, well, I didn't really invest a lot in it, so not a big issue. But what we will do is check for shorts, because sometimes when you have bad capacitors on the VRM for the CPU, you get shorted high side MOSFETs, and we don't have, so that's okay. No hard drive with this one, just the motherboard basically. No RAM in it at the moment, so it's not going to do anything other than make a sound. Let's power it up with our known good 20-pin ATX power supply, and let's see what it does. Well, it does start, and it does bleep, and the fan on the graphics card is going around a little bit, but not much. So we'll put some RAM in it. And then let's try it again. Yeah, I've got a picture out of it, guys. I'll just and then it shut down. But I did have a picture. Just try again. Yeah. Okay, so it is actually, working basically. Athlon 3200 plus, if you can just read it. So that's what we have. So this one just needs recapping, 5 capacitors, because of the value. And I've recapped motherboards many times on video here. If you haven't seen one, just ask and I'll give you the link. I think we can just put this one to the storage. We know what it is. We know what it needs. Now let's just see if it becomes worth selling. Okay, let's look at the next one. And here is number 4 out of 5. Another one of these, AT. I'm guessing this is another Pentium one. I seem to be finding quite a lot of these recently at the car boot. Seems to be quite a lot of these around, and yet these seem to fetch not a huge amount of money, but a reasonable amount of money for the motherboards and processors at least. Let's have a look what we have on the back. Well, something rattling in it, so yeah, AT machine, graphics card in, probably a PCI one, and something loose in there. Okay, let's take the top off and have a look. Okay. Oh, it's one of those, the black type, Pentium MMX. Yeah, it's the heatsink that's rattling around in here. So another socket 7 machine. 3-4 ISA. Quite nice. 4 PCI. There's some RAM in it. There's a hard drive in it. Seems to be a complete machine, this one. I think we'll do the same as with the other ones. So we'll use the light bulb, put some power on, make sure it's not drawing too much power. It's not going to blow and go bang. And then we can give it a go. I've just put the heatsink back on. There's no heatsink compound on. There wasn't previously by the looks of it, but we can give it a try. I've noticed the graphics cards actually fell out of the board. So this has probably been roughly handled at some time. Let's see what the graphics card is, shall we, at the same time? ARK 1000 PV. That's not one I'm familiar with at all, actually. Looks like an SV Trio type chip again, actually. ARK SVGA BIOS. Any of you guys know this one? First one I've seen, I think. Okay, back in. Let's try it. So, current limiter on limit. Plug it in. I think I'll try and make sure it's actually switched off. Yeah, switch is working nicely. Okay, let's see what happens when we first switch on. And in fact, nothing happens. That's like the power supply is not drawing any power, but of course it isn't because it's AT and I've switched it off. Yeah, let's try again. It's powering up, I can hear it powering up and the bulb isn't on full brightness, okay? So that can just go into normal mains. Yeah. Let's have a look in anticipation if we're going to get anything on the screen. Might as well, or is this where my luck runs out today? Let's see. Yeah, blue light's on, and this one's working. Oh, that hard drive sounds a bit iffy though. I have to get a keyboard. It's asking me to press F1 for setup. Get one of these guys if you're working on this sort of stuff. Invaluable unless you happen to have an old AT keyboard. I don't have one. I have many retro things, but not an AT keyboard. Okay, plug that in. Let's see. Yeah, that hard drive don't sound good. So it's a Pentium 166 MHz MMX. Just go into the setup if we can. Yes, we can get into the setup by the looks of it. Okay. Oh, that's a bit. I like that. Let's just save the settings. In fact, can we actually? Oh, tab goes over there. Can we detect the IDE? It's spun up. You can hear it. Made an interesting sound. Doesn't look like the hard drive's any good on this one. Yeah. I think we'd have to say that hard drive isn't good, guys. Okay. But I think we can say this machine is working. Optimal. Yes. Oh, best. So best is better than optimal. So if like optimal is optimal by definition, how can it best be better? Yeah. No, I suppose optimal could be like somewhere not quite as much as it could be. Yeah. Okay. Comments below. The optimal condition is not the best one. Yeah, how about that? Save. I like that BIOS. I've not seen one like that. I don't think. Before. Not while I've been doing this retro stuff anyway. Okay, so 32 meg of RAM, 166 megahertz, definitely a faulty hard drive. Okay, but the machine is good. As is very common with motherboards of this vintage, it doesn't seem to have a maker's name on it. Okay, it looks like 1995 is probably when it was made, which is about right for a machine of this type. The, oops, making a noise, scraping on something, okay. The chipset is this one, TX Pro, PCI chipset. That might give us some idea of what value it might have. Okay, processor obviously under there. TX Pro, and nothing much else to see really. So I think motherboards like this with the processor are probably worth in the region of £50. Although actually this machine is pretty much good to go actually, once the front cleaning. But because of the fact I'm in the Canary Islands, I think really this will just be sold as a motherboard and processor. Takes both PC133 and the Edo RAM, so it has that. This one is 80 only. I have had some recently, you've probably seen, which are 80 and 80X. Optional either, okay. But let's see if we can figure out roughly what this is worth, and that graphics card. Once again, we're in the actual sold listing, so we can see how these things are selling, not how much people are asking for them. Not always the same thing. I'll just put something generic like TX Pro motherboard, because I don't specifically know what this thing is. Well, yeah, I mean, there's one there, but it's only sold for £15. This is a different make, PC chips, I think. So I don't have really a direct comparison with this one, but it's a similar sort of board. Look, these are the ones with 80 and 80X on them. I'm fairly confident mine isn't a PC chips motherboard, but I don't know for certain. It doesn't have this type of heatsink on, which you normally find on them. You can see that these were sold from Ukraine, actually, on the UK site. So £15 plus 22 postage, 21 plus 22 postage. Those are the only ones, and these were selling in December. So I think I'll put mine down, because these would end up being taken to the UK to be sold normally. I'm going to put it down at £30, include the processor. Let's see what the processor actually is worth anyway. Well, yeah, about £8 plus 13 postage from Sweden, 7 plus 6 postage. I'm just going to put this down at £30, including the processor, and if somebody wants to tell me it's worth more than that, then I'll be very happy to hear it, yeah. And regarding the PCI graphics card, so this says ARK 1000 PV on the chip itself, and that's a VGA Legacy Mark III. Okay, ArcLogic, codename ARC1000 PV. Yeah, from 1994 in the VGA Museum website. Okay, so it's one of those. Can we find any of these for sale? Well, we'll try VGA Legacy Mark III. Search. Well, there's nothing in the sold listings. Let's look for ArcLogic. See what that finds. Ah, here we go. That's the ARC 2000. Similar but different. So there don't seem to be many of these around. I can't find the one I have. So I'm going to put this down at £20, just a guess. Add that to the motherboard and processor, which were kind of also guesses on the motherboard as well. I think this is like £50 worth, motherboard, processor and graphics card combined, and that's what I'm going to ring up onto the total. I know that some of you guys are very, very well educated in retro PC hardware and maybe would tell me different. I don't think it's worth anything less than that, so I'm hoping somebody might tell me, hey Rich, actually it's worth more, and this is why. But we've got one more machine to look at least we've made a profit now, so let's see what the last one brings. And here we have the fifth and last one from this batch. So this is how it came. All the front panel missing, a well bent button on the floppy drive there, bent it back, optical drive, not sure where the on off switch is gone actually. Oh, it's here possibly. So yeah, I guess the switches are there. This is a bit of an unusual style case again. Okay, Canaria Technique. Invest. I've seen that name on PCs here before now. I don't know if it's a local company or something. Then we have, well, this is a SCSI card, sound card and graphics card in here. Mouse, Raton, Spanish mouse. Yeah. And it has no USB on it. So it looks like it's an ATX case. I'm not 100% sure. Let's open it up and see what's inside this one. Yeah, what do you think? Guessing time. Could be a Pentium 1 again, I guess. Let's see. What do you think? Could be a Pentium 1 again. Some of those didn't have the USB on. Some of them were 80. Okay, well, it opens. And these ones, I don't open them up at the car boot sale. When I see machines like this, I just know they're going to be interesting, so I buy them. Okay, Pentium 1, what do you think? Have a guess, comments below, timestamp what you thought it was. Yeah, be honest, why not? It's fun, yeah, it's just part of the fun. Okay, guys, I've dragged that out long enough, I think. Here we go. Oh, I hit the lamp with it. And it's a Pentium 1. This graphics card has come out, so this has also been thrown around somewhat. We have like an interestingly shaped SCSI card in there. But I think it's supposed to be that shape. Sound card. IDE hard drive, so this was using some external SCSI device. Looks like an IDE CD-ROM as well. Let's straighten this up. We'll just take it out for the moment. I seem to be finding a lot. I mean, I mentioned this a bit earlier on this video, but of late, these Pentium 1 machines seem to be really common around here. I'm finding loads of them, practically every week now. Mainly from one seller, I will say, so I don't know where he's finding them. We have another S3 Trio Verge DX, this one, slightly different. That one, yeah, so this probably has, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 meg on, and you can put another 1 or 2 meg on there, something like that. I'm guessing we could probably work it out from the capacity of these cards, or we could hopefully boot it up and we'll find out what it is, yeah. This is the SCSI card, very dirty. Has a make on it, Symbios SYM20403. That's an ISA one. If that's a SCSI and it's just a guess, that's unusual for to be an ISA card. Yeah, well, we have one. Of course, I've seen one before. We can perhaps look that up and see what it is. I'm sure some of you guys already know what it is. Am I guessing right? And I'm sure some of you guys want to know what it is. Yeah, okay. So we have that. This is the sound card. Again, another ISA card. Has like an ID number. Oh, I think I've seen this before. This A151-A00. It's a Yamaha thing or something. I've had this before. Yeah. It is a Yamaha. It's a Yamaha chip there. Just get a thing into focus for you guys. Yeah. I think these were worth about £20 or something, or maybe a bit more than that, with a Yamaha chip on it. Okay, so we have one of those if it's working. Wants a bit of a wash, but otherwise, usually these things do work, to be quite honest. Okay. And the motherboard via chipset. Some numbers on the sticker. KDLE 9V A502. I don't know if that's a model number. AT power. But interestingly, it's kind of like, it's not really an ATX. Look, they've got this plate here that fits into an ATX case, but it's an AT power. Where's the on-off switch? Well, guys, this is really strange. I've not seen one like this before. Let me show you. So we do have a model number. It's a VR502, so we know what it is. Now look, this has AT power connectors, but the power supply doesn't have any mains cable coming into it. It's like an ATX power supply with an AT power connector, yeah, and it has the soft start switch. I think it does reset power LED. It doesn't have. So it doesn't have a switch attached there. Yeah, look. It has power LED, speaker, reset, HD LED, and some pins with nothing attached to them. MSAT. Yeah. But it has this power supply, which is an ATX power supply with an AT connector on it. Hard drive, complete machine. This is a bit unusual, I think. Or certainly, if it's common, I ain't seen one before. Because the case is absolutely trashed anyway, let's get the power supply and motherboard stuff out of this. Let's have a closer look at it, yeah? I have the boards out now. I've cleaned them up a little bit. This motherboard, VA502, made by FIC, it turns out. I had a quick look. I could find one on eBay that went into auction in January and sold for €1. And I can find others that have sold for €65. And the one that went for €1 only had one bid. That was a starting bid apparently, and it sold in January. So, from the Czech Republic. It didn't say what the postage was, however. It's a bit of a strange thing, this, because of what's with it. So this is the ATX plate basically at the back. So this obviously fits over here. So this will fit into an ATX case, but it also only has an AT connector for power. And I'm just looking at all the connectors down here, and as I mentioned, there's no power on switch. So you can see it all nicely marked. There's no power switch. There's a turbo switch. ID LED, there's a turbo switch, turbo LED. Reset, speaker, KB lock, keyboard lock, power LED. And yet clearly it is an AT motherboard. These are the cards I took out. So this is the SimBIOS card. I've cleaned it up a little bit now. SimBIOS Logic. Pretty sure that is a SCSI. We'll see. This is the S3 Verge DX. Quite a common graphics card, I think. And this is the Yamaha sound card. A bit cleaner now. And then there's the power supply. So this is the power supply. This is clearly an ATX power supply because there's no mains power switch. Yeah, there's no hard power switch. So it's an ATX power supply with AT connectors, which goes to an AT motherboard that has like ATX connections on but no start switch. So how does it start? Well, because there's no 5-volt standby, yeah? And it has coming out of it this, okay? And I've taken this off the front of the machine. So these are all the connections that went down to the motherboard. The speaker is in here. On the back, the LEDs are here. All on this side, there's just 2 switches. Okay. And then there's this. And this connects to this. Okay. And that's got to be the start switch. Comes down here. Yeah, it goes to that switch, the blue one. So that's your soft start switch. So what's this power supply? I've never seen one before, guys. Yeah, I've never seen one. What is that? What would you call that? Some of you guys will know because you're good at this stuff. I'm okay at this stuff. Yeah. I'm good at finding this stuff, I will say. I think you'll agree with that. I'm good at finding this stuff, but that is one of the oddest things I've ever found. Okay, go on, tell me how common they are. Yeah. Tell me if it's another one of these unicorns that I have a speciality for, it would seem. Yeah. So let's try it. Let's connect to this power supply, current limited, because I only have this one like this. I guess we could just fit a normal AT power supply to this. And let's see what it does, yeah. No onboard anything on this, really. Oh, it has onboard ID, right? Onboard floppy, fair enough. We can put the PCI graphics card in it. I can connect up some of the wires from this. So I'll connect up the speaker and the power at least. Well, the power just goes there. In actual fact, I'll just connect the speaker. Okay, just goes in there. We can start it. Let's give it a go. I have it about ready to go. We can see the current limiters up here. I think we should call this power supply. It's got to have a name, yeah. And we can't call it AT, and we can't call it ATX. So, shall we call it an ATX-ish power supply? It's like ATX-ish. What do you think, guys? Is that suitable, yeah? ATX-ish. Or is there a better name? Is there a correct name? For now, it's an ATX-ish power supply. Okay. Current limiter on. What does it do? Well, it's going click, 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 but that's probably this, like just trying to power up basically. There isn't a short in there, I'm sure. So I will just switch the current limiter off and then we'll find out if there definitely isn't a short in there, yeah? It's bleeping. Oh, I see. So the little switch was actually on. Start. This time it doesn't bleep, but I can hear the power supply running. Off again. Yeah, you can hear the little click. Okay, so let's take the RAM out. If I can even get it out, that's really stiff. We'll take the graphics card out. Let's see if we get some RAM out of this. Ah! No, I can't. I can. Certainly not easily. Okay. Let's try it without any RAM. Power on. Start. No RAM. Well, this is a strip of PC133. So I'll give it a clean. I'll give these slots a clean and let's try it again. Okay, we'll insert the RAM a couple of times. At least it goes in and out now. Yeah, that felt much more positive. Let's give that a go. No graphics card this time. And it's asking for a graphics card. Okay. So there's the monitor, graphics card in, let's try again. Blue light on. Ah ha ha, there we have it guys. This one's a MX233, oh might be interesting. I'm not sure if that was the fastest or the 266. The fan doesn't work. The heatsink isn't particularly warm though at the moment. So MX233, it seems to work. Let's connect the hard drive on and the put the sound card in as well. Yeah, let's see if this thing actually wants to boot up. As the fan isn't working, although it is connected correctly, I'm just going to use this just fan with this cowl and just effectively just point it down over the CPU, just give it a bit of ventilation. Hard drive is attached. I've set it to master. I think it's set correctly. So let's see what it does. Keyboard is on. Ah, it made a very nasty noise, but that was the hard drive. Had me worried for a minute. That's why I switched it off. I thought it was a power supply. Let's go again. Yeah. I don't think that hard drive's working. Okay. Not found it. Oh, it doesn't like it, does it? It doesn't like that at all. Well, I tell you what, guys, I've just given the hard drive a thump, and this time it detected it. This time it found it. Will it actually boot from it? I think it might, you know. Windows 98. Okay, so the hard drive is working. Mostly. Okay. Test and failed. Normal. That's what I was looking for. And guys, we are in Windows 98, so this machine is definitely working. Now let's have a look at the parts and see if they're worth any money. So the motherboard, as I say, I found one that sold for €1.06. I also found others for about €60. So 63 plus postage. I actually think the €1.06 was a bit of a fluke, to be quite honest. Let's have a look at the processor. So this is the Pentium 233 MMX. Yeah, and well, they've certainly been offered for sale. Yeah, Let's see if any have sold, okay? Yeah, £26 sold just 2 days ago. Okay, another one for about 20. That was from the USA with another 16 of postage. That was from Germany, 4 of postage. So I think we can honestly say £25 for the processor. I think we can probably say 40 for the motherboard. Interested to know what you guys think. The sound card is this A151-A00. I've actually have at least one more of these in stock at the moment. Yeah, look, you see. One sold for £74, 29th of January. One sold for 32. Okay. One sold for 19 from Spain. And that's the 3 that actually sold, okay? So I'm going to take the average of 30. I think we can agree with that. I mean, this had postage from Spain, could have been anything. These had quite high postage on them. In fact, I'm actually going to take it to UK, it's more like 40. So we'll say 40 for that. And then we have the graphics card, S3 Verge DX. See what that is worth. Again, that has the extra memory in, mine doesn't. Mine is more like this one. So it looks like without the extra memory, it probably isn't really worth anything. That's what the extra memory again. So actually, I'm not going to include that one in the value. And the last of this, Symbios card. That one. Well, again, they have sold, but it is a SCSI controller, but they don't really fetch much money. So again, I'm not really going to include that into the value either. But we still have a nice total between the processor, the motherboard, and the sound card. So let's ring them up right now. There. This doesn't take into account this very, very strange power supply, this ATX-ish power supply that we have. I'm interested to know, anybody know any more about that one, even what it's called? Yeah. And well, guys, that could be the unicorn then. I've never seen one before. Google doesn't seem to know anything about it. Do you guys? Comments below. Okay, hope you enjoyed that. Nice little look around some more interesting retro hardware. Another interesting look to see just how much some of this stuff is actually worth. And I think that IBM could be a very good candidate for an interesting video trying to repair the onboard graphics. So we'll leave it at that, and I will see you all soon on another Learn Electronics Repair video. Ciao for now, guys.